Hello, my name's Atholl. I'm a director at Rutherfords Real Estate, industrial property, and I've specialised in industrial leases for over 40 years. Today I want to discuss rent reviews in industrial leases. That's CPI increases, fixed increases and market increases. The 10-year average has been 4.87% for Melbourne. That's the increase in the CPI. Landlords have traditionally been happy with fixed reviews, 3%, 3.5%, something like that. In more recent years, with the CPI being so low, tenants naturally have favoured that and wanted CPI leases because the CPI rate was virtually nil. I've seen the ups and downs. I remember back in the 1980s, CPI being 12%, so it certainly can jump around. In America, the inflation rate, with common knowledge, has just been determined at 7%. So that's interesting for us here to consider that. Obviously with the COVID situation and supply chain disruption, that's certainly affected worldwide. Obviously the supply chain disruption has meant increased demand for less stock of all sorts of commodities. There's obviously large increases in products like timber and steel, and even cartage costs and container imports. The cost of all these things has soared during the COVID pandemic. The big question, of course, is where we go from here. The inflation rate, I think, currently is running at 2.91%, and where we go from here is the big question for both landlords and tenants to carefully consider in any new leases. It would appear that those that have been happy with CPI increases may well find that the CPI rate drives up sharply. That seems to be the trend. I'm no economist, but looking at all the data that's out there, that seems to be where we're headed. The other factor that will have a great influence on this whole rental increase, rent review clause in leases going forward is obviously the supply of industrial properties for lease. There's been a sharp decline in stock, especially over the last preceding 12 months. There are, in most areas, particularly in Melbourne where we operate, but probably the trend through the whole country, with a few exceptions, would be that there's very little stock of properties for lease available, and landlords will be able to determine or dictate in a stronger way what those rent review clauses are likely to be. So it's interesting times for landlords and for tenants in an area where industrial property has become a prized asset, and those opportunities, there'll be high demand for less stock. If you have any questions on any of these matters, we certainly handle and operate in this business a large rent property management system that addresses all these issues. So if you have any further inquiries, we can help.